Welcome to the Meet Crete podcast, where we sit down and talk with people who make Crete run every day. Hi, I'm Dave. I'm one of the creative producers inside of the communications department at Crete Carrier. And today we're going to talk with somebody who, if you come here, it's the first person that you see. It's the first person that you talk to. It's our ambassador, Linda Odle. How are you?
I am good. How are you, Dave?
Good. I'm very good. Thanks for sitting down and doing this, because I know you're a little apprehensive.
Yes, I am.
But you're going to be way better than Paul Marsh. So it'll be great. Do you think that's an accurate term, ambassador? You're an ambassador for Crete Carrier?
Oh, yeah.
We were talking prior to recording. You talk to a lot of people during the day.
I talk to a lot of people.
And you've been here at Crete as a receptionist for how long?
23, almost 24.
24 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose at 24 years and that many phone calls, you've run up against everything.
I've run up everything. Yep.
What's the weirdest phone call that you've ever taken in your time?
You don't want to know. I'm sorry.
Actually, I kind of do.
I get a lot of really strange phone calls, but in the beginning, I used to get a lot of obscene phone calls.
Oh,
actually.
no.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's over with.
Yes.
Oh, geez. Who needs that?
Don't need that.
Yeah, exactly. But you provide a very important service for the company. And it's weird. There are a lot of companies that have gone away from reception altogether. I've heard of a resurgence in reception, but I think it's something that should always be around, that there should be somebody to greet you, at least when you get in the door, right?
I agree with that, yes. Yep.
And the phone calls, I mean, they've got to get routed somewhere, and you can go through a phone tree, and we have those as well. But that personal touch, I think, goes a long way as well.
I do too. When people call in and they go, "Oh, you're a live person," because they're so used to getting an automated system or whatever, they like talking to a real person.
Yeah. 23 years. Let's talk about how you got to be here at Crete in the first place. You're not from Nebraska. You're originally from Colorado and
Yes.
Lots of different places,
Yes.
right? Why is that?
My dad was in the military, so I grew up moving every 3 years, and my grandparents lived here in Lincoln, and we came back here to stay for just a little while, and that was in 1973.
And then you stayed.
I stayed.
How did you get the job at Crete?
Well, I worked at Carol Wright Gifts, and they closed their doors, and my human resource person and Jane were friends, so Jane Gertzen brought me on.
You have a pretty big family, I understand.
I have a pretty big family.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I have a son and a daughter, and 2 grandsons and a granddaughter, 3 stepsons, a stepdaughter, lots of step-grandchildren, and 1 great-grandson.
Man.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Busy at your house.
It is.
That's a lot of fun, though.
It is.
And to have the different age groups and everything, that must be really nice to have that in the house all the time.
Yes, it is.
Reception is about helping people, and I know originally reception isn't something that you wanted to do. You were actually looking at another field, right? What did you want to do?
I wanted to be a nurse.
I could see you being a nurse. You're so helpful.
I love helping people.
And you do that a lot here.
I do.
Do you think there's similar type roles?
I think as far as helping people, yeah.
A lot less blood, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yeah.
What's it been like watching the company change in the time that you've been here? A couple decades, you're going to see a couple of things change. So what is the most dramatic change you think that's happened in the time that you've been here?
What I mean, it's just different. They had a state. They dispatched by state instead of having, just so many drivers.
Oh, that is different.
And yeah.
And then this side of the campus, this building that we're in, the original building, they used to have boards everywhere, and they used to do everything by hand, and things must have been frantic. And I bet that your job was a lot more frantic back then.
I had a lot more calls back then than I do now. I used to take between 550, 600 calls a day, and now I'm down to under maybe 200.
Wow. It's still a lot, though.
Still a lot.
Still a lot.
It's a lot of people to talk to in a day.
You mentioned You mentioned in your notes that I was putting together for the episode that you referenced the Crete family a couple of times.
Yes.
Talk to me about what you think the Crete family is.
The Crete family, well, 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And if it wouldn't have been for the Ackleys, the Ostegards, Jeremy Kirkman, and all of my family here at Crete that stuck by me, I mean, they really stuck by me.
It's very hard. It's hard to go through, and you certainly can't do it alone.
Yeah.
It's nice that you had that support.
Well, it was nice. I didn't have to worry about coming into work when I was sick, or they just let me stay home and recuperate and get better. But they were wonderful. They're wonderful people.
I just heard something recently. I have a history of cancer in my family. My mom died of cancer. 1 in 2 people are going to have cancer as an adult in their lifetime. That's staggering. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. Yeah. And Crete was there for you.
Crete was there for me every step of the way.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
It's got to make you want to come to work every day.
Yes. Yep. That's why I'm still here.
You mentioned your dad, who was in the Air Force.
Yes.
You kind of have a fondness for the military.
I do.
The military is kind of strong in your family, too. Can you kind of break that down a little bit?
Like I said, my dad was a lifer in the Air Force. My husband was a Navy. Stepson and stepdaughter, or stepson and his wife were Air Force. Stepson, Navy. A lot of military.
So,
they all served in Afghanistan.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so, yeah. Near and dear
Hopefully
to my
only
heart.
one tour.
One of them went twice.
Oh, man. Well, thank them all for their service.
Will do.
What is it like to work for, and the reason that I ask about the military is I think we got to honor them whenever we can, because what they go through and what their families go through is staggering, so that we can keep doing what we do every day,
right,
and then complain about it on Twitter.
Yes.
But the reason that I bring it up is because we're a very military-centric type company. And by that, I mean, we have a lot of veteran drivers. We have a lot of veterans that work in the building. We have the Patriot fleet. What does that feel like? Because you're part of a military family. What does that feel like to you?
To me, that's just pride to see those trucks going down the street, and know that my family helps each one of us be here. They sacrifice a lot when they're overseas or just in the military itself. They sacrifice a lot for us.
And then the families sacrifice too. I mean,
yes,
you can't put a dollar amount on that worry
yes,
that you have the entire time that they're gone.
yes,
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Well, it's great that I think it's amazing that Crete does as much as they do for the Patriot fleet and to recognize the veterans. And I'm glad that you wanted to talk about that a little bit. And thank you for all that you do and for being the ambassador for Crete. Linda, by the way, was the first person I met when I came to Crete before I got my job. And that welcome was my introduction to Crete. And I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
And it's great to see you again.
Thank you.
And you'll be here tomorrow.
I'll be here tomorrow.
And if you call, she'll pick up the phone. There you go.
The phone.
Thanks for listening and watching this episode of Meet Crete. And just a reminder, you can find all of our weekly updates, driver stories, and more episodes of this podcast on the Crete Carrier YouTube channel. We'll be back to find out more about the people we work with inside of Crete Carrier and Schaefer Trucking in the next episode of Meet Crete.